Every day, our lives are changed by history.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. Introducing my guest today, I have on my right hand Dr. Obidima, a journalist and lecturer in international diplomacy at the River State University, Port Harcourt. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
An honor having you today. Thank you.
To be here.
Thank you for joining. And on my left hand is Mr. Oduyemi Wealth, a social and current affairs analyst, renowned public speaker. Welcome, sir.
It's a pleasure being here today.
Thank you for joining us today. Moving on to our first topic, stakeholders of the All Progressive Congress (APC) in Benue State have condemned the call for the removal of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation (SGF), Senator George Akume, warning those behind the plot to desist henceforth. The stakeholders, who made their views known in a communique issued at the end of a meeting in Makurdi, the state capital, also declared there is no caretaker committee in the party's constitution. Therefore, any constituted caretaker committee is illegal. They declared that Austin Agada remains the party's substantive elected chairman in Benue State. The communique, which was read by Senator Jack Giado, lamented the division in the party after its overwhelming victory in the 2023 general election, saying any purported caretaker committee aimed at dividing us the more will not work. Besides, we don't have that in the APC constitution. While urging all members of the party to form a united force and rally around the SGF, who led the party to victory during 2023 general elections, the communique said all those who won elections through the instrumentality of the SGF and are now calling for his removal will be shown their way out come 2027. The SGF remains our political leader, and we condemn any call by any group or persons for his removal. He is an outstanding Benue politician that has a humane heart to help others to grow without looking back, and we will continue to support him in whatever way we can to enable him to succeed. The stakeholders also endorsed the re-election of President Tinubu come 2027, assuring that they will mobilize support in the nooks and crannies of the state to ensure that the president gets 100% vote. Commending President Tinubu for the love he has shown Benue State in the appointments given to our people, they pledged to work for the president to retain the presidency in 2027. Recall that the gubernatorial liaison officers a few weeks ago protested in Makurdi, where they called on Tinubu to remove Akume from office. I would love to have your thoughts on this, Mr. Wells.
Well, the call for the SGF's removal is not alien in the sphere of politics, especially when such call is coming from perceived disgruntled persons within the party structure.
Okay.
It could be as that their interest has not been well captured in the overall scheme of events, and hence in politics, it's a game of interest, and once your interest is not captured, the survival of the fittest or a campaign of relevance will then be activated. And then in this light, that persons within the political sphere in Benue State are calling for the immediate removal of the SGF means that probably in the scheme of things, their interest is not, well taken care of. And of course, it shouldn't be new, because it's not about win-win situation. You most likely will not want to, aside the fact that some persons will probably want to call that they are all out for everybody to carry everybody out. That apparently may not be possible. But however, the call is not alien. The most important thing is that stakeholders have countered such a call, and more importantly, the overwhelming support for the SGF in the state is still gaining ground. But in the coming days, we begin to imagine as to how the SGF in his own camp or itself in his wisdom will be able to manage persons who are disgruntled, such that the relevance of the party, that is the APC in the states, will not degenerate into the popularity of the party will be affected, as we have witnessed in some states across the nation.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. I would love to remind me. I would love to have your thoughts.
Dr. Bidima.
Dr. Bidima.
Well, like he rightly said, it's one of the things we see in our politics.
Okay.
You know, when election ends, the next focus is how to share spoil of victory. But what is clear there is that there's a crack within the party in the state. And from what I'm seeing, it will take a creative thinking for the leaders and relevant stakeholders to come together to see how the differences can be resolved. If it's allowed to fester, definitely, if not for the kind of politics we play in Nigeria, it's going to be a big minus for the party. But whatever that happens, it is clear that some people are aggrieved. And it's not the issue of maybe a group saying that he remains our leader and not the same. If you have a leader without troop, a general without troop, how can you go to war and win? So the best thing is to see how, if it's a true leader, how to resolve those differences. If there are people who are marginalized in the party, if there are those who are not happy with the way the party management, the party activities are run in the state, I think it's called for dialogue, coming together, whole conversation over it, and move ahead. You don't just wish some grievances with a wave of the hand. It will surely cause serious damage if not properly handled.
Thank you, sir. We don't know if there has been dialogues before that hadn't yielded anything, so we can't really. What solutions would you provide to such crisis?
I think within the framework of the objective of the party, through the instrumentality of its key actors, wherein the SGF and concerned stakeholders within the party structure are routine support. Like Doctor have said, that it cannot be wished off, especially if those who are making this call have a critical stake in the overall objective of the party popularity in the state. So if this person wield certain command or followership, and based on the interest that binds everybody, and for reason best known to whatever crisis is going on, or perceived crisis that is going on in the state, will be properly looked into such that it will not be counterproductive, whether now or in the nearest future, you know, in an attempt and overall everybody, you know, go home smiling. But if the ideology is all about the support that are supposed to say, for example, you know, it is within the political corridor that you deliver your unit or your constituents, as the case may be. So if the persons in questions or these perceived by agreed persons or individual tend to not to have bring anything substantial to the table, and naturally those who probably use resources and their network and connection to ensure that the party, you know, scale through at the end of the day, will most likely will want to be taken care of before you now look who and who. Yes, it's unfortunate that that's not how it's supposed to be, but within the context of the politics we play here in Nigeria, especially the politics of vindictive and acrimony and you know, the kind of, if you do not support me enough, I will also not give you if I eventually get to the privileged position. So, like Doctor said earlier, a platform as a leader need to be, these people cry, should be managed within the context of time such that it will not snowball into something big, and then before you know it now, opposition will begin to capitalize on that and use it as a medium to popularize the party in the state.
All right, thank you on that. Moving on to our next topic, residents of Plateau have lauded Governor Caleb Mutfwang for promoting good and inclusive governance in the state. Some of the residents who spoke on Thursday night at a Christmas luncheon organized by the state government commended the governor for ensuring rapid and steady development in the state. The news agency of Nigeria reports that former governors Joshua Dariye, Jonah Jang, and Simon Lalong were among the dignitaries at the event. Rear Admiral Samuel Atukom, retired former military general of the state, lauded Mutfwang's various initiatives aimed at tackling the myriad of security challenges in the state, highlighting Mutfwang's holistic approach towards the construction of new roads and rehabilitation of existing ones, commending him for promoting inclusive governance at all levels. You must therefore set aside party affiliations and ensure good governance for total development in the state. Treat the entire state as a constituency, avoid sycophants, and seek inspirational knowledge to formulate policies that will benefit the people, Atikum advised Mutfwang. The former military governor, however, called on elders in the state to shelve all political, ethnic, and religious differences and support the governor to succeed. Emir of Kenam, Alhaji Muazu Babangida, who spoke on behalf of the traditional rulers, commended the governor for initiating moves aimed at uniting the people and fostering sustainable development in the state. On his part, Ambassador Yahaya Kwande, former Nigerian ambassador to Switzerland, lauded Mutfwang for reviving the train mass transit and introduction of the metro buses. According to him, the move, among other laudable initiatives in other sectors, had gone a long way in cushioning the hardship of the people. He, however, advised the governor to ensure regular engagement with the elders and other stakeholders, insisting that such a move will propel a collective effort towards tackling all challenges currently bedeviling the state. Responding, Mutfwang thanked the elders for honoring the invitation in spite of the short notice, expressed confidence that with their support, Plateau would experience unprecedented growth in the coming years. Highlighting his vision for a secure Plateau, the governor said that his administration had made significant investments in technology to boost surveillance and swift response to any security breach. The governor promised to frequently interface with the elders and other key stakeholders for the overall interest of the state. Dr. Obidima, I would love to have your thoughts on this.
Well, if the residents, because when they say residents,
okay,
you know, we're talking of the common people. But if what is being reported where some leaders are making such allusions, so it's difficult to know actually whether the ordinary citizens are in agreement with the opinion of opinion leaders.
Okay.
But let's take it for granted that what we have heard is what is going on in Plateau State. I think that's commendable. And two, I think one issue that's quite critical around that area is security.
Okay.
Because these clashes have been there for decades and heightened since Buhari came into power till now.
Okay.
You know, a lot of communities were displaced, went into IDP camps. So we have not really heard whether those people in IDP camp have been returned back to their communities. If they have not been returned back to their communities and the herdsmen that drove them out of their communities are still occupying their communities, I think the governor, for me, may not have achieved much. But if we have a report that has been done, I would say kudos to him. Because it is not right for people to be refugees in their own homes. And that is also what is going on in Benue. And it is my concern why the federal government is not tackling that issue headlong. How can you be in Nigeria and you are in IDP camp? And the foreigners are occupying ancestral homes of these people. And two, it also affects agriculture. You know, Plateau, Benue, all those areas, they're good in agricultural programs. Yeah. So, and it will also affect the overall agricultural policy of the country in terms of food production.
Okay.
It's not the issue of construction of roads. I always disagree with people that really see road construction as development. Development must be holistic. Okay. Development must touch the critical infrastructures, which is not just road, health, education, agriculture, manpower development, capital, human capital development, and so on and so forth. You don't just pick one aspect of development and run with it. And within 4 years, like what we saw in River State, you know, for good 8 years, where we just saw road construction and the flyover in certain areas of this thing. Now agriculture was completely neglected. Other critical infrastructure were also critical. No, I have always argued that development, that is why it must be sectorial. That's why there's an allocation in your budget. Okay. It must get to the different sectors. I would touch, but more let's tackle the issue of security and return back those in IDP camp to their ancestral homes. They must chase out the foreigners that occupy that have taken over their community, their villages. Two, CI can also enhance. I didn't hear anything about agriculture because the herdsmen are still devastating the farmlands in Benue State. So people are still being killed from time to the attacks here and there. We hear all these things. So the development will not be settled within the cities. They should make sure that the ungoverned areas within Plateau State are governed. Okay. You know, so that especially security people should be taken to those places so that this attack on citizens must end. Okay. If the residents say yes, what he's doing so far, no, they should sustain it. Whatever you are doing that is being applauded and should be sustainable. Okay. Because what we see is that most of the time during second tenure, the job fizzled away. Okay,
I would love to, of course, to show them. Mr. Wells, do you believe the governor is deserving of these accolades?
Well, I will not want to deny him the drive to ensuring that he's trying to mend fences or create a platform to bring in stakeholders. You know, it's a strategy considering the fact that for the wrong reason, Plateau State is known to be a volatile terrain, owing to the fact that the orientation and of course the deprivation and of course developmental stride that is expected in any democracy has long gone elude the people in that space. Just like what we discussed earlier, you know, as to disgruntled elements. So the governor, Caleb Mutwang, deemed me feel that both past governors and leaders, opinion leaders, created or brought together to join hands together to ensuring the douse the perceived tension and the tension, and because it's way down since the beginning of democracy, way since 1999, after the 2003, started having some record of unrest, people maimed, killed, people, like Doctor said, a lot of residents of that state in various local governments, particularly the agrarian region, have been displaced, and they are now refugee in their own homeland or ancestral home. So one thing a good leader would do is to ensure that all opinion leaders, and whether in the government or outside, as long as you are a citizen of that state, you are a stakeholder, bring them to the table. There are some persons to which the kind of influence they have over their constituency, by the time their followers is, you know, tend to pick up the signal that with the government of the day there is an alignment. As you see in that report, that the governor and also the former governor also, you know, making a call that those who probably have influence over subsiding the unrest or the clashes, as it were, everybody should shift their sword and put hands together such that the overall development of the state is the credit to all. So it's a good call, but beyond 2024, I want to see that this call is echoed around all the nook and cranny of the state, such that everybody will own it as a project that lead to, for the right reason and for the betterment of all those who are for greater development, you know, is working against.
I would love to ask you. I would love to ask you. The story says the residents laud the governor over inclusive. Do you believe or do you feel that this accolade echoes the voices of the masses?
Well, just like I said, check the list of those who are invited. Within the shortest period of time, you know, both past leaders, those who once upon a time, governors, people of greater influence in the state, outside the shore of the state, even beyond Nigeria. In fact, I think one ambassador, is also to Switzerland, is also there, tells you that, you know, this personality weighs some level of influence. You know, unlike in some species, where you say, if you are not for us, you are not for us. But an atmosphere of inclusivity is created, means that opinion and suggestions that will further position the state to achieving good governance is allowed, implying that there's a platform of engagement, and no right-thinking individual, you know, who is given an opportunity to make inputs
Okay.
on the well-being of his environment will not want to honor such, especially when it has to do with the overall development of the state. And so it's a reflection as to that the kind of caliber of persons you have, you know, invited, and it's a policy that over time people have been looking at, though it goes beyond party lines, implying that persons, you know, who have, you know, something to offer is given a fair chance to bring something to the table. And that's what a leader does. The moment you find yourself in that privileged position, you are not just for your party, you are for all, whether those who voted you in and those who probably didn't vote you. You are for all, and then you are the number one citizen. And so you sworn, part of what you sworn as an oath is to ensure that the governance is upheld, and of course security is upheld, just like what every other person will want. Make life very simple for everybody. Not just because I know you. That's the only medium to which I can actually have, you know, access to basic necessity of life.
Okay, Doctor, you mentioned some areas that would the governor should focus on that could validate these accolades. What suggestions would you give for especially when it comes to the displacement of internally the restoration of internally displaced persons?
Well, there is no alternative policy than to ensure that those who are returned back.
Okay.
You know, because where they are not productive.
Okay.
They cannot do anything. They just depend on whatever is the aid that comes from either government or other organizations for a living. They can't go to their farm because they are not in their ancestral homes, and they cannot engage in any meaningful economic or agricultural activities. You know, they are not living a comfortable life.
Okay.
So that should be what the governor should prioritize.
Okay.
And two, to ensure that those areas that are not really governed, that give impetus for these attackers, terrorists, you know, whatever is stopped.
Okay.
So that is very, very key. If development is centered within the urban areas, and you bring in, we are seeing the names of those who are mentioned. You see, these people are not the people who feel the heat.
Okay.
Or this crisis. Is the common people who are in the communities. This problem don't come to the capital. It don't come to some of the cities in this end. Is those areas that local government that are outside the urban areas and who work hard to contribute to the economic development of the state in terms of whatever they are doing, whether vocational work, agricultural activities, and all those things that enhances maybe food exportation to other parts of the country.
Okay.
That is one area. I have not really agreed on this issue of consulting rules and all those. I thought it's not even about inclusive. You brought people maybe from other parties to be part of your government. That's not development.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
That's not development.
So I would love to hold your thoughts there. We'll move to the next topic because of time. Kano State chapter of the All Progressive Congress has dismissed claims by former Kano State Governor that he would significantly reduce the APC's votes in the state during the 2027 elections. In a statement on Thursday, the state APC chairman, Abdullahi Abbas, described Kwankwaso's assertion as laughable and called on him to focus on reclaiming his membership in the new Nigeria People's Party, from which he was reportedly ousted. Abbas branded Kwankwaso a political refugee, accusing him of latching onto the state's governor, Abba Yusuf, in the desperate bid to remain relevant in Nigerian politics. The APC chairman alleged that the NNPP's performance in the 2023 elections was largely due to manipulated votes, vowing that such tactics would not be tolerated in the future elections. Abbas assured Kano residents that the APC was poised to reclaim the state in 2077 and liberate the people from Kwankwaso's undue influence, which he said emanates from his castle on Mila Road. The APC statement was a response to Kwankwaso's remarks during a meeting with stakeholders from Sanyawa local government area at his residence in Kano, where Kwankwaso claimed that his team's effort during the 2023 elections sidelined the People's Democratic Party, leaving it with just 15,000 votes in Kano. Prof, I believe, Doctor, I believe you must have seen or read this statement by Kwankwaso. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, it is not out of place for politicians to make claims. You know, there's what we call psychological prepping of your, to give them hope. But then, is Kwankwaso a political factor in Kano State that cannot be dismissed?
Okay.
And whoever that is making any counterclaim as it is presently is in Kano today is on a wasted voyage. So, election was not manipulated. Kwankwaso was not APC as to say, at the center as to say he had influence over INEC. There were large followers because of the mismanagement or maladministration of Ganduje in Kano State.
Okay.
People were angry.
Okay.
And the two, Ganduje went into these chieftaincy issues. And that really polarized Kano into different emirates or whatever, and people didn't like whatever he did in terms of asking the former, now reinstated emir, Sanusi. If you watch during the End Bad Governance and Hunger's protests, it was heavy in that area.
Okay.
Because people are going through hell. People are going through such hardship that anybody that feels that they cannot fix the economy in a way that will elevate the suffering of people, and thinking that you go to such flashpoint like Kano, in 2027, with this state of economy to manipulate the election, may set the country on fire. It's not like what happened in the South here. And you see that also recently, there was this mass movement of people in Kano. We read over the news, moving to register as obedience, towards Obi.
Okay.
And it's not towards APC.
Okay.
So how do you think that Kwankwaso is making a wide claim that by 2027 he will send APC out of the decision? I think with the reality of things on ground, it's making a very valid claim.
Doctor, I will come back to you. Mr. Wealth, what's your take on this? And I would love to ask also, do you think Kwankwaso's claim comes too early, considering the present state of things?
Well, Kwankwaso, for varying different stakeholders, there are divergent opinions about his person. Of course, no doubt about the fact that he is by arguably one of the consistent, one of the popular leader in that corridor, particularly in politics. And then we saw that his effort over the years was got some level of commendation during the last general election, by his party ensuring that they brought certain surprises to the table. Okay. So based on this confidence, and coupled with his politics within that corridor, what in politics, especially those who probably who rig their way into power, will always want to be confident that what was will continue to be. Okay. That reminds us during the 8 days of the People's Democratic Party, where certain postulations were made that in the next 60 years, they will still be relevant.
Okay.
That was the period to which the APC, with a coalition of concerns and interested persons, were able to form alliance. And coupled with the fact that the style and kind of governance that was in place then was also not generally satisfactory, which of course gave the APC capitalized on. The same thing, I think the APC is also, particularly in Kano, is also that same part is also what they are doing, with the instances Dr. raised. A lot of people are hungry, people are hungry, and people are desperate, and that is not gainsaying. Everybody can feel the heat. Unfortunately for the state chairman of APC, is that same overconfidence that the People Democratic Party was inching on before the tsunami sweep them off their feet. And today, how be it that the People's Democratic Party is now regarded as a second fiddle, or third fiddle or fifth fiddle, if there's anything like that.
Okay.
But the point is that I will not want to take the claim of Kwankwaso based on his political antecedents. Politicians will always have a way of lashing back at each other. But critically looking at it as concerned political student, I will want to look at it as a call that is making sense, but for the ones who are in the corridor of power may not make sense as well. It may not be Kwankwaso and his party, but I'm also sensing that people, the last election revelation tells us that people are getting more aware, and alternatives directly and indirectly is being created, such that such claims are credited to APC state chairman will not hold any waters in any political contest. Okay,
this is where we wrap it up on this episode of Atn Politics. I would love to thank you, Dr. Obidinwa, for joining us today.
Thank you. It's my delight to be with you.
Thank you. And Mr. Wealth, thank you for joining us on the show today.
It's a pleasure.
And we hope to having more of you on the show.
I hope so.
We are open for advert placements, news and events coverage, personality, society and political interviews, products, service promotion, and commercials. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials on Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, on Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our Facebook at www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching. I am Favor Michael Chikwesiri.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what they want.
I have fought a very firmly. Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
you.